welcome back. I am going to be adding some shading to my image for the bits that I didn't finish in the last video, and it's primarily going to be on the coloured areas because they were still wet, so I couldn't add shading on top. Yeah, so I'm just going to go in and add some more colour and contrast. I'm also going to go over this dark green here because it dried a lot paler than I thought it was going to, and I'm going to colour in his mittens as well because it was too wet to do in the last video. And I'm going to hope that my camera doesn't die on me. That's better, and it's a bit darker now. It's a richer colour. Okay. I'm going to add some shading. Now there's two ways you can do shading. You can add more pigment of the same colour, or you can go over with a grey, which I think I'm going to use grey because I've got multiple colours changing. So I'm probably going to use Payne's Grey because I've already got that in the background. And I'm just going to dilute it down a little bit because I can always add more, whereas it's quite difficult to take away. And I'm going to use this tissue just to control how much water's on my brush. So I'm going to try doing the coat of this girl first, and that's barely showing up at all, so I know I need some more pigment, which is fine. Try again. There we go. Using the grey to add shadow is a really easy way to get contrast in your image if you are new to mixing watercolours, because you don't have to worry about darkening your shade, because you have to let it dry, and then you might have to remix the colour again and to get a slightly darker shade. And if you're not confident in remixing the same colour, using grey for shadow is pretty handy. It can make your image look dull, but considering that this is a nighttime scene, I'm not too worried about it. If you are worried about it and you're not doing a nighttime scene, then you can always use coloured pencils to add your contrast in, a bit like we did with the Pro Marker videos. You just pick similar colours, and while I've got the Payne's Grey out, I'm just going to go around the hat and the people in the image, just to get rid of any little white areas that I might have left behind in the original wash. And doing that also leaves a nice cast shadow, so I am not too bothered about blending that out. Right, I need some more. And the reason why I put the colour down on the palette and don't take it straight from the pan is so that I can see how much pigment I've got and control what I'm putting on my brush. Because that's what's important, is what's on your brush. So I'm just going to add some more shadow in. And this is a nice detailed brush so I can get right up close to the characters. And I'm going to fix this area here where the water and the pigment bloom just a bit too much on my liking. And that looks like quite a strong edge, which it is, but in a minute I'm going to blend that out so it's a more natural gradient into the background. Just using some clean water. That's perfect. I'm going to do a bit more this side because they're going to have about the same cast shadow. And I needed to do a bit more on the other side to cover up some of that water bloom. So I'm going to even it out a little bit and then clear water again to soften the edge. Okay. Just blending a bit with some clean water now. Gonna add darker here, just because it looks too light now in comparison. That's good. And do this little bit there. And under her legs. Because that looks like it needs to be a lot darker. But I don't want it so dark that her tights blend into it. So it's important to leave a little bit of contrast. And I'm just literally hitting anywhere where I think there might be a shadow. So where her shoes overlap, where characters overlap, where there's going to be some lower amounts of lighting. Still dark. Yeah, let's do his trousers. And if you're not sure what you have left on your brush, you can always have a scrap piece of paper to test it on. Okay, I'm gonna add some areas to his hair. I'm not going to do too much on the top of his head because that would be in the glow of the light. I'm going to hit this side of her hat. because it's underneath and it will be darker. And then I'm going to do her gloves. And a ruffle on her coat. And then a little bit of the music sheet that's covered by the other kid's hat would be darker. And under the hat there, just a tiny bit there. I've already added some shadow here, but I'm just adding a bit more for some contrast. I'm going to do a bit on his ear and around the bottom of his face and her face, but I'm being very careful because I don't want the skin tone to look too dull. And then I'm going to do the underneath of the hair a little. Again, not too much because I don't want her hair to go grey. What else? Might do a bit on the dog now because I haven't really done much on the dog. Need some more pigment. Yeah, that's good colour. Still need a bit more. The dog's quite dark, so that's it. Onto the dog's ear and a little bit under his chin, but not too much. Okay, do a bit more on the shoes. Haven't done any on this one's shoes, so I'm going to add that. And I think there's not a lot more I need to do in terms of shadow now. Maybe behind the flower. To be honest, it's one of those projects where if you sit long enough you can probably find something to colour. I did notice that I'd forgotten to colour in a bit of the little kid's hat, so I'm just going to grab some of the red, which luckily I still have on my palette, so I can add that. Right, now I'm going to add the glow of the light into the images, and this is a part where you could go wrong, so if you don't want to do this, I completely understand. I'm not entirely confident, but I'm going to give it a go. So I'm just going to add a touch of yellow where I think the light would fall on them, like the top of their heads. I seem to have picked up a bit of grey, so I'm just going to add, clean my brush and add some more yellow. Probably the top of her sheet here, corner of his sheet maybe. Definitely the top of his head's going to be more yellow. The brim of his hat down here. Add some yellow to the hat as well, and to her hat. And I'm not doing the whole thing, I'm just adding little touches where the light would just hit it. Otherwise, if I do the whole thing, it'll just look like that hat is that colour rather than a light. And if you can't get the yellow to show, you can always do what I did and just dab it up. The original colour, and then reapply some yellow. That's way better. And as you can see, that worked even on dry watercolour. So it clearly doesn't matter how long it's been on there for. And get top of his sheet, tiny bit of this. Yeah. So I'm picking the highest points on each image to add the yellow to, because the light would hit them. So if the boy is there and then the dog is here, it would hit the top of the dog because it's in front, and it would hit the top of the girl because it's here, or boy, whatever. I think it's a girl. It's got blonde hair. She's got blonde curly hair. Well, I think that's pretty, and I haven't puffed it up too much, which is always a bonus. And I'm going to work on the background again, just because it dried a lot paler than I thought it would. So gonna add back some vibrancy and add more yellow. I'm still using quite a small brush because I'm going quite close to the edge and making sure my edges are nice, because I'm hoping this is going to be my final layer of colour. And then when I finish touching up all the little edges, I will go in with a bigger brush and work on my gradient, which I'm pretty much almost ready for. Now I want a light orange, so I'm going to use the red from that girl's hat and mix it with the yellow from there to get an orange. I want to repeat the hues as much as possible, and I'm just going to use that around the light bulb. It's not fire, but it is a warm glow, and adding that different shade just adds a bit of warmth. And I need to get it in this tiny little bit there. That's quite difficult because it's such a tight space, but that was worth it. Okay, that looks like a nice warm glow. I like that. Okay, now I'm gonna step up the brush. This is a number 6, and then I'm going to add some more yellow. It's got a touch of grey in the yellow, just because that will help me blend it out to the grey sky. But if this was daylight, then you wouldn't want grey in your yellow, otherwise it would just look dirty. And that was a bit darker than I wanted, so I'm just going to add some water and keep blending it. I'm starting to run out on my yellow now. So I might have to do a new batch if I need some more. Just get this bit here where it dries very pale. And I'm overlapping the grey now, which is fine. And I think I'm gonna do like some flat banana shapes. Do some little curves just to help the colour dissipate into the background. You don't have to do that, you can leave the soft colour if you want. Doesn't matter. Go in with my brush. If this was a sunset scene and you were doing it into blues, I wouldn't suggest doing the flat banana shapes because it would mix in with the green, blue and make green. Right, I want to deepen up the night sky colour, so I'm going to add in some more purpley blue tones. So this purple is a mixed down version of dioxazine purple. I feel like I need to learn Latin just to pronounce some of these. It's quite difficult. And I'm being careful because I don't have purple and blue anywhere else in the scene, so I don't want it too purple, but it will dry lighter than I'm putting it on. So, which is what happened last time, and you can pretty much only see the grey, which is why I'm going back to add the purple in. And I'm going to do the little sea banana shapes again. Now, if you are not confident watercolouring, you could totally have left it at where we got to at part 2 and it would look beautiful. It's really up to you how far you want to take your painting. I like trying different techniques because I do art as well. I like to use my cards as a bit of an experimentation to see what I can do in my art. So I suppose that's where I'm coming from. Now I'm going to go back in and add some blue, and I'm going to pick ultramarine, and I'm going to mix that a fair amount with some Payne's grey, because I want it to be close to Payne's grey, and Payne's grey is quite a blue grey anyway. And I'm going to go over the purple, and that will bring the blue tone of the Payne's grey that we've used throughout the painting back, and it will add just another layer of richness to the sky. And this is clear water now because I want to blend in the edges, and I don't want to add any more colour around the light because otherwise I'll lose the vibrancy of the lamp. Okay, I'm going to go back in from this corner and on this side. Toning down the purple but not getting rid of it because I still want that depth of colour. If you ever look at your black jeans through your sunglasses, you will see the blue or purple tones that are in the dye. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I have. I love to wear black and I wear sunglasses a lot because I get migraines, so I always feel frustrated when I put my outfit on and it looks great until I put my sunglasses on, and then I suddenly notice that all my clothes are a different colour. But it was pretty handy for my art. Right, so now I'm just using clean water, which I'm controlling, so it's quite wet but it's not absolutely soaking wet, and I'm just blending the edges so there's no harsh lines, and I'm pretty happy with that. A bit Payne's grey. Just gonna I've got Payne's grey on my brush now, and I'm just where I did the shadow around the people, I'm just molding, I don't know what the right word is, but I'm blending it in with the rest of the night sky. You can always do dabbing motions, like pounce your brush to break up edges, if that's something you want to do. Yeah. And I'm just gonna add a bit more darkness down here. I don't know why I started whispering then. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Too much water. I just did that without talking then. Because I had too much water, I picked up a dry brush and I placed it on the area I wanted to lift the water up, and it's because the brush was thirsty, it soaked up the water for me. It's actually really difficult to explain what I'm doing because I'm not used to talking to myself and saying out loud what I'm doing. But hopefully I've been talking enough for you to get a gist as to what I am doing and the method behind my apparent madness. And again, I don't want to make the snow looking dirty, but I do want lots of contrast because it is contrast that makes your images look like they're coming to life. Just get between his paws. Just perfect. Right, so I am going to stop fiddling and I'm going to leave it at that. And I'll see what it looks like when it's dry. There we go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.